What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, CEO, MTS Nutrition. Now, I am a really bad amateur boxer. I'm horrible. I'm 1-0, but if you've ever seen my boxing match, wasn't exactly Mayweather at his finest, all right? I'm getting a lot better. I've been doing it almost 2 years now, but I'm working hard. I go in multiple times a week, but let's just be real, man. Not a great boxer. What I was is a pretty damn good bodybuilder, and I transitioned to boxing. And what I played before that was, for you international people, American football, or as they say in Australia, gridiron. Or as the British call it, fuck you, you stole our name, we own football. So anyway, American football. Before that, I played baseball. Now, this week in boxing, actually, a week ago, we had a couple deaths. 2 deaths in 1 week. 2 deaths. Maxim Dadashev, I believe a Russian boxer, passed away after his fight. All right, then we also had Santillan, who was another boxer, a super lightweight from Argentina, who passed away. Now, both brain trauma, obviously, and they were both fighting at the highest level and would happen to get hit in the head consistently. And these guys, remember, like, this trauma that happened to their head, it wasn't just that night. Remember, they probably sparred multiple times a week going into this event. They've been fighting for years and years and years. And as someone who's had 5 concussions from playing football in the past, every concussion you have makes the chances of having another concussion much more likely. Hence the concussion rules in football, soccer, and other sports. So, obviously, it's a tragedy, and you got, you got different organizations calling for boxing to be banned, calling for different rules to be changed. If you saw some of the stuff from the Dadashev fight, actually his trainer called the fight. The ref didn't call it. It was hard to tell. While he was taking a lot of damage, you're going to get hit in the face. You're going to get hit in the head during a boxing match. It is what it is. He wasn't showing, in my opinion, any signs of being injured. He looked a little out of it, but you know what? If you've ever been in combat, man, if you've ever been in even sparring, like between rounds, you're trying to catch your breath. It's extremely cardiovascularly taxing. It's hard to tell if someone's just winded or if someone is completely out of their wits. And Dadashev's fighting style, he just came forward and took punches. He'd give, but then he'd take. He'd give and then he'd take. It's his style. Kind of like Stallone in the Rocky movies, just poof, poof, then he'd return it. Now, obviously, that's not a great boxing strategy, but this guy was a really good boxer. But he'd had a lot of head trauma moving into that. Now, the problem is, it's not just boxing, guys. It is any elite sport. You are increasing the risk of death, of trauma. Look at the NFL. All the CTE issues coming up. You got guys with concussions and concussions and concussions. And even if you don't get a concussion, tell me where it makes sense for 250 to 300 pound men running under a 4.7 second 40-yard dash to run head first at each other. Even if you don't go head first, your head is going to hit something when you go shoulder to shoulder or whatever. A lot of impact. Offensive line, every play, boom, 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 over and over and over and over again. Bottom line is there's trauma, there's impact. Baseball, you got pitchers throwing 100 miles per hour on every team. I remember back in the day you had Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens, maybe a couple dudes can throw in the triples. Now every team has a guy who throws in the triple digits, or 2, or 3. As we are evolving as a species, as our athletes are getting better, whether it be from food, training, drugs, whatever, or just genetics. Like, the beauty of sport is that you are just combining genetics and just over centuries and over time. I mean, look at just everything that's come out. Look at all the records that are broken. You go, oh, it's old drugs. No, it's not. How come everybody in the NBA is like 6'9" now? Or 7 feet tall? I remember a 7-footer, he's like, what? He's 7 foot? Now there's like 12 of them on one team. Shut up. It's not just drugs. It's just the fact that, I mean, just look at America in general. America's a melting pot. You got genetics of all different cultures just combining. Then you got your Tiger Woods, you got your Serena Williams, you got all these brilliant athletes coming out. You know, Michael Phelps, that guy's built to swim. You know, and they're finding their niche. They're finding their sport. We got much more advanced training. You know, just like in Illinois alone, I got like fucking 15 soccer academies within 15 square miles of my house that are actually going to train these kids how to play, how to develop. And we are just a much better sporting society. So unfortunately, our brains are still our brains. This is still a soft spot. Trauma is still trauma. Concussions are still concussions. So when you have this increased velocity, this increased skill, this increased force, I always make this comparison, right? You're more likely to see a heavyweight boxer get knocked out. Why is that? Well, because you're getting hit in the freaking head, right? A heavyweight boxer has more force, more velocity, more power. You're throwing mass times acceleration equals force. You get a big heavyweight's arm, a big heavyweight's fist. I've gotten hit by these before. You hit somebody in the face. I don't care if you weigh 300 pounds or 200 pounds or 100 pounds. You get hit in the temple or the chin, your ass is hit in the temple or the chin. If somebody weighs 100 pounds or 300 pounds, their temple and their chin are still their temple and their chin. When you hit the friggin' canvas, hit the back of your head, that's still the back of your head. Bottom line, on the football field, boom, two people running head-to-head into each other. And as sports get more competitive, the population gets higher, and the money gets greater. Look at all the bodybuilders who've passed away from the 90s, I believe, were the heyday of bodybuilding. That was the golden era. Mike Matarazzo with those big old calves, he died. Rich Piana was enormous, he died. The biggest up-and-comer thing, Dallas McCarver, he died. Why? They pushed it further with drugs. Bodybuilding ain't afraid to say, we take a lot of drugs as a sport. So while other people are taking risks going head to head, bodybuilders, I've trained with these pros, most of them train pretty hard. I'll guarantee you this, you get harder training individuals at any local CrossFit gym than you get on the professional bodybuilding stage. CrossFitters get hurt, but that's just CrossFit. All right, so check it out. As sports progress, and get more and more competitive, and the funnel becomes thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, you're going to see more deaths. You don't hear about them, but I'm sure amateur boxing, even with the headgear, I'm sure there's some deaths we don't hear about, especially in other countries. Like you go to Mexico and their lax rules on boxing. America's a much better place for that, but I'm sure it happens. Soccer, high kicks to the head. They have a header rule in soccer, which is great. Unfortunately, I don't really see many concussions coming from headers. I see it coming from a high kick to the head, accidental, or when someone falls and hits their head on the ground. So as sports get faster, stronger, bigger, and more competitive, you're going to see more and more people die. And boxing and MMA fighting, I believe we're in our best moment ever. You know, you had your Muhammad Ali phase. You had your Foremans. You had, obviously, Tyson, who was just dominant in his time. But now I think boxing has been brought up, elevated. And a lot of it's due to MMA. MMA has made combat sports so much more popular. And then McGregor fought Mayweather. And I mean, dude, you've seen a resurgence of boxing, dude. Boxing gyms are absolutely crushing it for fitness and for fighting. I mean, my gym alone, I remember when I started at Pro Boxing Fitness in Elgin, there were 2 heavyweights I could spar. 2 heavyweights, Jerry and Trey. That's it. Now, we go on a Saturday, I got 6, 7, 8 dudes, heavyweights, who are good, sparring. That's just one local gym. There's like 5 of them in like 5 in like a 15 square mile radius, Katie, between MMA and boxing. There's a ton. I know Chicago is kind of a hotbed for boxing, but bro, you know, we're getting better athletes. So what is my idea of what we should do for boxing? Nothing. You literally have a sport. I mean, boxing started out, basically there were no rounds. They just fought until someone fucking got knocked out. And then they used to go for 20 rounds, then 15. If you look at the evolution of boxing, it's profound. It is the safest it's ever been. Standing 8 counts. You know, refs are very involved in the match. Trust me, man. Even at my shitty little amateur fight, man, the ref was all up in it. In fact, I would say I'm surprised he let my fight go on because we had 2 knockdowns and a standing 8. I thought he should have called it. I did not feel comfortable going out in the 3rd round because I didn't feel like I did not want. Obviously, I was going out to win, but I thought it should have been called in the 2nd. But again, that was headgear and 2 guys who really don't know how to fucking fight. You know, like I don't think anybody's getting hurt by our punches. But nonetheless, nothing, dude. You can't sugarcoat it. The sport is 2 guys hitting each other in the fucking face. Every boxer knows that every fight could be their last one. I remember, and I'm going to give this little anecdote. I was at Mike Rashid's pro fight. You know, obviously me and Sean, his business partners in Ambrosia, were there. Sitting there with Rob Bailey. Look at me name dropping. See that, Katie? I can name drop like a motherfucker. So we were chilling there at Rob Bailey. And I remember Sean looked at me. He's like, you know, Mike can die in that ring. You just put that. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Well, Sean Torbati, obviously he likes to state the risks. He's a risk aversion type guy. But yeah, so it's true. You're in a sport, especially in a fight, 12 rounds, pro, no headgear, of getting hit in the face with 10-ounce gloves. Again, I'm getting hit with 16-ounce gloves, man. I'm an amateur. My fight was 16. Sometimes it's 14, sometimes it's 16. But as a rookie, never had a fight before, they put us in 16. All my sparring, headgear, 16-inch gloves. You go into a ring, no headgear, 10-ounce gloves, not inch, ounce, my bad. 10-ounce gloves, get hit in the face multiple times by a professional who literally has trained his whole life to punch people in the face with velocity, force, quickness, speed, and power. I'm surprised more people don't die. And we should, every time you watch a boxing match, realize, man, those guys are putting their life on the line. And this guy from Russia, this Dadashev, he was actually fighting for his green card so he could bring his wife and kid over. So it was, when you hear the story about it, it kind of yanks at your heartstrings. America is such a wonderful place that people are literally fighting for their lives to get here. Think about that. Think about it. Boxing is a poor man's sport. It's how you come up. So that's why someone like me will never be good at boxing. Because me, I'm fighting for a challenge, right? These guys are fighting for their lives. A lot of these great boxers out of the city of Chicago are fighting to get out of the crime-laden areas of the south side of Chicago. Same with New York, the Bronx, Brooklyn. Look at Tyson. There's usually a reason they're fighting. Even AJ has a great story about his come up, you know? Unlike golf, where you hear about a Tiger Woods who had an affluent dad, not affluent, but enough money to get him where he needed to go, and showed him at 2 years old watching him take a swing, and then he took his first swing. Hear that beautiful golf story. Boxing stories are usually fucked up. These guys are fighting for their lives. Sometimes they end up losing their life in the process. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Comment down below. Yep, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But, you know, obviously we lost a couple warriors. And I'm going to say this might not sound right. There's something to be said about someone who goes out like these guys. It's kind of like going out a warrior. Dadashev, I think there's more to it, and here's why. He literally died fighting for his family to have the opportunity that we have bestowed upon us in America. And that's a beautiful thing. And while he went out, I hope to God that some people take care of his family for the warrior he was. That's not a game.
Protein bars is self-explanatory. Protein.
I want to make sure that the protein that I'm putting in my body is really natural.
I really want to find protein bars that have whey protein isolate.
But whey protein isolate, that's ideal.
It's a solid protein. It makes me feel good.
This is the Outright bar.
Outright bar.
Sounds delicious.
Pretty excited about this.
Whey protein isolate?
That's the best kind.
Okay.
This is good.
This is a protein bar for real?
This is great.
I'm gonna get sustained energy and it has enough protein to help sustain my muscles. You couldn't ask for anything more.